I have until October 1st of 2025 to get a legendary V10 at my home gym, BPUMP Tokyo. That day is the day my visa expires and I get kicked out of Japan. But maybe if I send a V10, they'll let me stay a little bit longer. My plan has 3 phases, and the first one is to hit my previous high point, 1D, the second hardest grade in the gym. The V4, V5 range is where most climbers hit their first wall. Even though it's the point where climbs get incredibly interesting, it can easily turn into a nightmare you can't escape. This month, I sent a bunch of MIQs, which is V5, V6 at BPUMP, and I was really close to sending one EQ in a day. I want to focus on these 3 climbs and tell you what I did right, what I did wrong, and what skills you need to be able to send a V5 at one of the hardest gyms in the world. Now we're going to talk about this red V5, which is actually very my style. So the good thing about this one is that it was big holds and slopers, just big moves. Trying to relax. And then it gets hard. Suddenly you're on 2 slopers that you can't hold at all. As you can see, I was pretty close from the first try. But this route is more about not making small mistakes that add up. Because once you get to that big sloper, you have to have pretty dry hands and to be well rested because it's a pretty physical long route. So when you get this right toe hook, you can relax, stretch out your arm a little bit. And then the trick to grabbing the sloper is to hit it right on the left as much as you can. That's why I bump up my hand. And then with the right snare, try to make tension. I get the match, but I think that made my body move in kind of an odd direction. The trick whenever you're projecting something like this, especially on slopers, is to give it less tries and make each try count even more. Because when you have a problem that needs friction as one of the most important things, so basically big slopers, you need to have cool skin, and it's very easy to just keep on going hundreds of tries, but you'll just keep on slipping off. So it's almost better to relax a bit, take a chill, nice long break, put your hands in front of a fan, and then when you chalk up, you can feel your hands are actually a different temperature than before. So as you saw before, I got it from the middle, but then I do the try again, and just because I didn't lift up my legs high enough, I got stuck in the middle of the move. As you can see, I just keep on trying from the middle, trying the crux, because the beginning is not bad. It seems easy, but the harder thing is trying not to lose energy so that when you hit the second sloper, you can stay on. I just keep on practicing, and once I feel kind of confident, I start going back to starts on the beginning. Now, keep in mind, this took about 3 different days, and I don't really like projecting too much, but this was a very interesting climb. It looks very physical, but there's a ton of tweaks that you can do, and I saw a lot of people that were stronger than me struggling a lot on this one. That's why you always have to pay attention to the feet, especially on overhangs. You'll see that I'm smearing absolutely everywhere, and each smear gives me the power to move to the next move. Now, once I hit that right hand, I smear again with the right foot, and that's what makes me not come off the wall. Not on that try though. And going back to slopers, remember that friction is the most important thing. Friction and position. You have to keep your hips under the hold so you can get the most amount of hand on the hold, basically, and increase your friction. And on friction, you wanna brush the holds as much as you can and keep your hands cool, and if you could, also make the hold cool, but that's kind of hard. But there's AC in this gym, so it's a little bit better. Also, the high humidity in Japan makes these holds really hard to grab, which is why on this try I felt really confident. I was flowing through the route. I already knew what to do. My hands were nice and cool, and when I hit the sloper, I bump up my hand to get to the nice place, right foot, and then slow and controlled and go for the top. And as you can see, my legs whip behind me, and that's when you can really tell how overhung the wall was. Now, if you've seen my first video on this series, you've already seen that I kind of struggled on this one. I couldn't even do the first move, and right now I'm skipping that because it feels impossible. So starting from the second move, I kind of try to understand how it is. Then I go back to the first move, which is a toe catch. That is pretty tricky to get. And it took me a bunch of tries, but once you get the timing down of any type of coordination move, it feels so much easier. It's all about practice. Then I kind of establish myself, keep the tension, another right foot snare to keep my position locked in. There is a very small slot for the left hand, which will come in key in a little while. And then I wasn't sure on how to get the top. It is very sketchy. The volume seems like you're gonna slip off at any moment. So I ended up asking for beta to my boss, the manager of the gym, and he told me I was on the right path, just trying to find the frog stance on that sketchy volume. This is the hard part. Getting your hips, it always feels like you're gonna come out, and I'm not very flexible. So it's really important to try to get your hips over your knee, and that's when you can get the most balance. I just did a neko punch. So basically I dry fired and I hit my hand against the wall, and after that my fingers were all bloody, and then the band-aids were making the grip so much harder, but I just kept on trying and remembering, keep on passing your knee over your foot. It was still sketchy, but I kept on going and trying to find the body position. So the trick whenever you're doing sketchy stuff is to find the body position. It sounds super simple, and it is, but unless you have the right position, every single hold will feel impossible. And especially on volumes like these, there is no way you can go around it. You can't really pinch the hold. You can't really pull on it. So it's all about kind of pushing on the right side and sitting at the right angle. There, I finally got the top from the middle, and now it's just a matter of piecing it all up together, remembering the timing for the foot, which was still really hard, and then every single move was pretty limit, so it's all about trying to keep fresh. Every time you make a move, breathe a little bit, relax, and try to find the position. Because if you just try to power through, nothing will happen. Whenever I did get the toe hook, it felt so nice and rewarding. And here I am so close, but my right foot slips out and I barn door off the top. I have done this boulder so many times at this point, my hands have no skin, but I didn't want to give up. Plus, this day, when I was warming up, I hit my heel against the floor. I was so tired, I don't know, I relaxed too much, and I hit my heel against the floor, so I couldn't do any of the other boulders I wanted to climb with the left heel hook, which, don't forget about this, it's gonna come in later. I kept on going. My left foot slips this time, but I was just so close. I did not want to leave this day after working so hard. After hitting my heel against the floor, I needed a win. And as you can see, it was super awkward. I had to go back and then reset my feet. That right foot could slip at any moment. It was on the white, no texture, but it stayed on. And I was so happy, so relieved it was finally over. I'm glad to say that this video is sponsored by you guys. Thank you so much for your incredible support and all the amazing comments in the comment section and in real life. It's truly mind-blowing. And if you're not subbed, what are you doing, man? Come on. Okay, thank you. Now this became the mega project. I spent around 4 different sessions working on this boulder, and I knew that if I could send this, it meant I was getting back into my old shape. Not only is this a very long boulder, and I have absolutely no endurance at this point on my climbing, but it had a ton of crimps and a ton of very techy heel hooks that made the route possible. This beta I'm doing right now to reach that right hold was the first of many, and I realized it was not very consistent. You needed a toe hook on the wall on just the right angle, and after doing so many moves, it was really hard to stay on. This was the crux for me, just getting the toe hook, the right hand, and then bumping again in such a small box felt very awkward, and my fingers could get tired really easy if I was coming from the start. So I had to refine the beta as much as possible, and here's where you see that inconsistent beta I had. After talking and seeing a bunch of other stronger climbers just give it different ways and try to find their own solution, I started to pick up on a few things. I kept on trying to hold this right hand, which so far I could never hold on to. It seemed that someone stronger could just cut their feet and stay on that right crimp. But for me, it was 100% gonna be an injury. I also kept on trying to tweak on the other beta. There was a few more holds I was kind of skipping because I felt it was better to just do 3 harder moves than 6 still pretty hard moves. I found out that with the toe hook, I could not get this right hand, but it was still better than not doing anything. At this point, I still hadn't gotten even half of the moves, and it was about to end my first session. Now I came back again and trying to find a different solution. I used one of the red holes to try and see if that was possible, but it didn't make much difference. I kept on trying different variations, but they all just felt impossible. There was a heel hook beta, but it seemed that it was gonna be impossible for me. I didn't feel that I could trust my heel, but I gave it a try. And it felt easy. So the trick was to get really deep on the heel hook. And suddenly it went from something completely impossible to probably the easiest move in the whole route. Now you can see my feet cutting, but that's just one of the many things I refined over my tries. Doing a longer project like this always teaches you to be more efficient and to really find the easiest way. If you just keep on powering through and thinking that getting stronger is what's gonna get you to send the projects, I think you're making yourself lose a long-term battle. There is gonna be a point where you just can't get stronger. I'm not saying that getting stronger is bad, I'm just saying that I think I can change the beta faster than I can make my fingers stronger. So I just kept on refining each move and finding different ways to do the next one. I kind of found my beta and thought I was going to be able to send it. But I was still not ready for this boulder. As you can see, that move was very limit for me. I could do it if it was just an isolated move, and maybe a younger Marcos would have said, I just have to get stronger. But now what I think is I have to find an easier beta. There is no way every single person that climbs this boulder does that. As you can see over there, when I placed my right foot before, I did not cut feet. Just one of the many tweaks I've done to improve my climbing on this route. Now, I was still trying new ways to unlock that last move. I knew my uncontrolled way was not going to be great after I was completely tired. I saw someone else do this beta, but it looked really hard for me since it was a very high foot. But I gave it a try. Now this was after I hit my foot against the floor. My heel was in pain, and this climb had 3 left hook heels in a row. So suffice to say, it was impossible for me to continue. So I just went back home and gave it a try another day. At that moment, one of the most embarrassingly funny things happened to me. But it involves a pro climber, so I don't know if I can just post it up here. If you guys are interested, just comment down below and I'll ask for permission if I can upload it. I came back a different day about a week after. My heel was sort of healed, no pun intended, but my climbing was still sloppy and I think I was still scared about hurting it. So I was moving pretty horribly, but I managed to make it pretty far. I made the cross, which was always the hardest move because I was really tired. I hit the left hand, and when I had to set the left heel, I put no weight whatsoever on it. It was slipping off, and I just couldn't get it. I couldn't believe I had about 90% of the boulder because if I set that heel the right way, I could just get the pinch, and it was essentially done. I should have ended it the last week. I would have saved myself so much pain. The important thing I had to remind myself was it didn't hurt anymore. Even though I couldn't trust it, my body was okay. Keep on climbing the right way, keep the toe hook tension, breathe, set the heel. At least that's what I was thinking. And I just could not move. But once I put my right foot up, I thought I was gonna end it. My feet cut and I was stuck. I couldn't believe it. I was so pissed off right there. But I knew that if I could send this, it would mean I had improved a bunch. Sending, well, my hardest grade right now, Mikyu, at my A&T style would be a win. I just had to keep on trying. My movement now was getting pretty dialed in after it being like my 3rd try in the session. I was flowing, it seemed very easy, even though I was tired, to get to the heel position. But the problem was I still didn't trust it. You can see I pulled with my arms instead of with my leg. I kept on doing it and I was always so close, but my heel was not helping. Now this is when I took a long 15-minute break. I just massaged the area, I checked that nothing hurt, I breathed a little bit, and I just knew I had to send it. I set the heel and I trust it.